Now can you hear me? Looks like that just came through. Okay. Okay, excellent, dude. Can you hear me now? Okay. Okay, starting again. Well, I just said that, wow, we made the stream start this time, because last time I got stuck for 15 minutes trying to get it going. This time it started and I didn't turn on my audio, so you know what? It's a work in progress, my friends. Anyway, today what we're going to be doing is we're going to make a spaghetti marinara. We're going to be using some high protein pasta. In fact, we're using the only pasta that I found that doesn't taste like garbage. So, you know, that's a plus. And we're going to be making the marinara sauce completely from scratch. So that's good. So let's just go ahead and get right into this. Get all this other stuff out of here. So, bear with me. These will take a little bit getting used to. For our ingredients, we're going to be using some Roma tomatoes here. In fact, let me get that away so I'm not just crowding you out here. Roma tomatoes. And we're going to be using a little extra virgin olive oil here. A little garlic. Some shallot. And we're going to use a little bit of flour just to thicken that sauce up if we need that at the end. Probably won't need it, but for the purposes of this video, probably, because we're not going to have time to reduce this a whole lot. You can use cornstarch or flour. Either one works. Cornstarch is actually better. And we got a little bit of salt there. You're going to want to be careful with the amount of salt that you use. Just for your information, if you decide you want to try to make this, all the ingredients and measurements are going to be down in the description of the video, along with the calorie count, the protein, the fat, and the carbs after I get this video posted. And I'm going to go ahead and see if I can get myself on the screen. And there I am. And put me down there. There we go. Okay. Also, we're going to have a little bit of pepper here. The kind of pepper you use doesn't matter. It's fine. A little bit of dry oregano. And a little bit of red chili flake. You're not going to use this much chili flake. I mean, if you use all this, then you are brave, because I can't. Okay, get all this out of the way. And I'll show you the pasta here in just a moment. You're going to have to do all this in stages in order to get all this done at the same time. For our pasta, once again, we're using Barilla Protein Plus pasta. What this is it's a 100% plant-based pasta. We could go with this, or we can go with whole grain. Either way, they're really similar as far as nutritional value goes. I don't know if you can see that. You're not going to be able to see this very good. But the great thing about this is there's 10 grams of carbohydrates per serving, which is a 2-ounce portion. There's 38 grams of carbs, but you remove about 12 of that just with dietary fiber. So really you're talking about a serving of this pasta. A serving of this pasta is something like 25 grams of carbohydrates. If you are talking about something like a standard pasta, that would be like in the 50s. You know, high 40s, low 50s. So that's really a big deal. So we got our pasta. Going along with that is going to be a little bit of olive oil that we're going to put into the water when we boil it. This will help keep the pasta from sticking to itself. You don't got to use this. In fact, if you're pretty good at making pasta, I would recommend not throwing this in there, because it will make it a little bit harder for the sauce to stick to it. And a little bit of salt here for the pasta water. Okay, so first first we want to go ahead and get that water boiling. So we're going to see which camera I can use. We're going to go over here like that. How you like that? We're going to take the water, go ahead and pour that in here. You don't want to put the salt in here yet. You're going to mess up the surface of your pan if you do that. And we're just going to fill this about, I don't know, about halfway, 3/4. Always err on a couple of things. You want to make sure that your pot is bigger than you need it to be, first of all. You don't want to crowd your pasta. That's going to make it stick really bad. And you don't want to have too little water in there because it's going to soak up a lot of this. So always go with a bigger pot. Always go with more water than you want. That's going to make it take a little bit longer to heat up, but we don't care. Okay, then you're here. I'm gonna go ahead and put this water on over here, and we're gonna set this onto like a power boil, and just let that going. Now that we got the water heating up, there. Now that water's heating up, we're gonna go ahead and start working on our ingredients for our sauce. So, going back. There. Okay. One of these days I'll get more cameras. Because right now I've got the camera that I put back there for some reason. I don't know why it's back there. It's kind of a cool different angle, but it doesn't really do any good as far as showing you how to do stuff. So eventually that'll be on an auto switch, but for now, it's not. Okay, so we'll get the pasta stuff out of the way here. Water's going to take a little bit. That water is going to take a little bit to heat up. So the first thing we're going to do is work on our tomatoes. I'm going to pull these all out here. And with the marinara sauce, once you make your marinara this way, you're likely not going to be buying marinara sauce in the store when you see how easy this is to make. Okay, so first thing you need is a sharp knife. And what you want to do is you want to make sure this is very sharp. If you have a honing steel, that's a good thing to have. You can kind of keep this thing maintained, or if you got a sharpener, that works too. If you're going to use a honing steel, be careful not to hone this over your cutting board like I was about to do right there, because that's not good. You're going to end up with metal shavings on your cutting board. So, no, not good. So, let's go ahead and do this a few times. Get this nice and sharp, especially when you're working with tomatoes, because they got a very hard, squishy skin. If your knife isn't sharp, then you're going to have some problems. All right. Okay, so best way to do this is I just kind of cut down, get it cut in half first, and then we don't cut that way. We don't want to cut through the skin first if we don't have to. We want to cut down through the flesh and then have the skin at the bottom. I mean, it's a little bit more precarious this way to do this, but it's a lot more effective because you're not going to squish the tomatoes down. And the knife will go through it a lot easier. So you want to dice these up as best you can. And hopefully I'm not going to be on a live stream and cut my finger off or something. That would not be good for me. Could be good for views, but not really good for me personally. Unless I get, I don't know, like 10 million views out of it or something like that, then that would be... I don't know. Would I sacrifice a finger for that? Maybe. Just might. Hey, Tomic, how's it going, man? Yeah, I've been having some issues with the audio sync on that. It's something I've been working on. I mean, I'm running this through an A10 Mini and then over into StreamYard. And so there's a lot of moving parts on this. This is the second time I've done a stream, and been trying to work on squaring that away. As long as it's consistently off, that's one thing. The last stream I did, it got further and further off until it was like 15 seconds or so. I know I can set the offset in the A10 Mini to compensate for it, but last time it was moving around a lot, so there wasn't really a number I can put in there. Okay. So hopefully it's not too annoying for you guys. I mean, I know it sucks, but we're getting there. We are getting there. Okay. And I suppose I probably could have done this ahead of time for you, at least some of it, but I figure we're going to be here for a little bit because we're doing this whole thing from scratch, and that water is going to take a while to heat up. Marinara sauce is probably 20 minutes or so on its own, so we got some time. Hey, Daisy Tails, how's it going? Yeah, you know, I'm trying not to cut my fingers off, but you know, I think we were just having a conversation in one of the videos before about how, you know, I might be tempted to do some of this stuff for views. You know, I think the YouTube algorithm likes accidents. Maybe. I don't know. I have to talk to Nick Nimmin or somebody about that. Oh, you're gonna find out. The audio a little off. Yeah, I think it's off by like I want to say it's probably something like a half a second. And that's just because I've got a video switcher that I have that all my cameras are connected to. Oh wait, I can't even see me there. Come on, gotta do that right. I've got a camera switcher that all this stuff is connected to, and the microphone is connected to that, not directly to my camera. And I probably should have done it the other way, but I'm using GoPros, and they don't like to be plugged into power and also using the mic port at the same time for some reason. I don't know, it's weird. Cool cameras, but they're super buggy. Yeah, before I ever made marinara sauce, I didn't realize really how simple it is. It's just not really much to it. I always did like some canned tomatoes, and then you take some tomato sauce and mix it in there, and then some tomato paste. Or you just get like that stuff from the store or whatever. I mean, you know, a lot of it's pretty good. But once you start making it on your own, there's no comparison. I mean, this will taste more like something that you get out of a restaurant. And the best part is really it doesn't cost you anything, except probably the most expensive part is going to be the tomatoes. And really, Roma tomatoes aren't all that bad right now, as opposed to everything else in the store, which is way expensive. Yes, well, that's what you're seeing them on right now. That's on my phone, and the saturation is probably a little bit high. They're take a look at this. Yeah, you know, they're about that red, maybe a tiny bit off. You can see, you know, like that. See, that's about how they really look, just like that. Okay, we are almost ready to start making some marinara sauce here. Okay, there's tomatoes, put those aside. Take this cutting board really quick. Trying to do all this really quickly for you. All right. Okay, the only other thing we really have to prep is going to be our garlic and shallots. Now it looks like our water over here is boiling. Hold on, let's move over to that really quick. Just right there. We're actually going to put this on a different burner for now, because we really don't need it yet. The pasta is going to get done a heck of a lot faster than anything else is, so we just want to make sure that that water stays nice and hot. So we'll move that over. And we're going to be using that for our marinara. Be a little bit easier to see that in there. Get out. Okay. Okay, now back to where we were. Oops. Ah! Alright. Okay, we will work on the shallot first. Shallot, a lot of people think a shallot is like garlic. It's actually closer to a red onion, but it's in the garlic family. A lot of times when you do a recipe that's got garlic in it, it's really nice to put shallots in there as well. If you haven't used them before, they are... No, I didn't peel the tomatoes. I just saw that. Because I like to just dissolve those skins right into the sauce. They'll almost completely come apart, so it's great. Yeah, you know, I still got those 5-ply pans. I'm gonna start highlighting some of you guys here. There, get up there. Yeah, I didn't peel the tomatoes. Sometimes you do. In this case, we don't really have to do that with the sauce because we are gonna cook. We're gonna cook them down and render them down. They're gonna turn into nothing, basically, just by cooking them in the pan. So that's not a problem. And on these Costco pans here, yeah, I'm still using the Costco pans. They're a freaking great deal. I don't know what happened there. When I bought them, I was really skeptical because I didn't think that they'd be any good because they were pretty cheap. And when I got them, I really liked them. I actually got 2 sets. They had an original set, and then they had an updated version that looked a lot like the All-Clads. And that was great. I mean, then they were kind of different sizes too, so that worked out really well. But then they kind of, right around pandemic time, they kind of got out of stock, and then I haven't seen them at all anywhere. You know, you were able to get them on Amazon, and then they weren't in stock on Amazon anymore, and then they just sort of disappeared, and I haven't seen them really anywhere for, I don't know, a couple of months now. So I'm thinking that those went bye-bye, manufacturer went away or something. If you go over to Costco now, they've got some different brands of pans there now. They don't even have those. And those were the actual Kirkland branded ones too, so those were like their own thing. So, you know, your guess is as good as mine. When you're cutting shallots and garlic, one thing to remember is that the smaller you cut these, the more flavor you get. It's something about when you're slicing the molecules of the vegetable, and the more you slice it, and the smaller the pieces get, the more flavor you get out of them. Scientifically, I don't really know why that happens, but it just does. So these we want to mince these down pretty good. They don't have to be super tiny because a lot of them, I mean, especially with shallots, they're going to melt down a lot in the sauce, but we want to give that some help. We want the sauce to be nice and smooth, and it's not going to be that way if we got big chunks of stuff in them. So you just kind of keep mincing this until you get all those pieces down as small as you can. Also, you've had those pans for a while then. How are they holding up for you? some people have complained about warping and stuff like that, and it was enough to where I put out a video about pan warping, because I was actually guilty of a lot of the reasons that pans warp too. Like for whatever reason, like back in the day, I didn't really occur to me that you can't just take a pan and then make it nuclear hot and then take cold water and throw it on there, and then it doesn't affect it. And then I thought that the fact that you warped the pan because of throwing cold water onto a hot pan would be because it was a cheap pan. And turns out that even if they're talking about the most expensive ones like All-Clads, it says right in their warranty information that if you do that, they'll just void your warranty. So that's good information to know. Yeah, me too. I haven't had any warping on mine either. I had one that I warped on purpose, and it was already kind of slightly warped because that was the one that I just mentioned that I didn't realize what I was doing. And then I went ahead and made a video about how to de-warp your pans, which is honestly probably more trouble than it's worth. Okay, there's your shallot. I think it's a nice mince there. You don't need to mince it as fine as I did, but the finer you do it, the better it's going to be. Let's clean this off again. I'm trying to be as clean as I can here, because somebody's going to say something if I don't. Never thought that when I started a YouTube channel that there would be so many people that would come out of the woodworks like just saying whatever for no reason. It was disheartening at first. I'm a pretty sensitive person, so it was sort of a rude awakening being in a public space like this for me. Okay, take those shallots, put those over next to our tomatoes. And then we got our garlic. What most people do with garlic is you're just sitting there grabbing the ends and kind of doing this and trying to peel off the whatever. Then you're like getting garlic under your fingernails and tearing off little pieces like that. That sucks. That would make you just go. That makes you just go and buy pre-minced garlic because it's terrible. But to get around that, all you got to do is take your garlic, set it down there, take your knife, put it on there sideways. Be careful you have the blade faced away from you and probably down a little bit too, just to make sure you're not going to cut yourself. And just kind of just give the side of your knife a couple of whacks like that. And look at that. That just falls off. That's ready to mince. Nice, huh? A lot faster than doing it the other way, that's for sure. Yeah, now it doesn't come off the way it's supposed to. Come on, don't make me a liar. There. Yeah, I haven't had to buy new ones in a while. I just keep, well, I haven't had to replace any in a while, I should say. But for some reason, I just keep ending up with more and more pans. In fact, it's kind of, I got like a pan thing going on right now. They got to be pretty though, you know. You got to be able to hang them. Yeah, Tails. That's a thing about good stainless pans. I mean, they last freaking forever. Hopefully, the Ninja non-sticks that I got that I reviewed, hopefully those hold up over time, because I had some really expensive Henkel's pans. Expensive Henkel's, you know, full stainless with a non-stick coating over the top of them and stuff, and they were really expensive. Each pan was over $100. I mean that's not, I guess that's not terribly expensive, but it's not cheap by any means. And those things started, they were sticking probably right away. Like, it weren't great. And then after, I don't know, a year, they were just garbage as far as the nonstick goes. And then you just end up having to use cooking spray and oils and butters and stuff trying to get stuff not to stick. Okay. Now, with our garlic, we're going to mince that the same way. And I didn't really show you on the shallot, but basically you just start with one, you just cut it very thin, like this. With the garlic, this is going to be quicker to mince because it's kind of got a different construction than an onion does. And slice these pretty thin. If you're really good with a knife, in a sauce like this, you can actually just take your garlic and you can just do really razor thin cuts on the garlic and it'll just melt right into your sauce. And that's how Italian people end up doing it. But my knife skills aren't as good as some of these people. I mean, this works just fine, but I am definitely not the best, put it that way. In fact, my knife skills have gotten better since starting the YouTube channel, just because I kind of have to, because I don't know if you watch a lot of cooking videos on YouTube, but there's a lot of people that I'm surprised still have 10 fingers. I mean, you'd see people like taking stuff and they're like cutting things like this, and oh my god. Or, you know, I know one lady that she's sitting there, she'll have like an onion and she's like this, and she's holding it this way and it's just cutting across her fingers. So I mentioned in the comments that, you know, she needs to be careful because she's going to cut her finger off. And she got mad. So hopefully she doesn't take it that way, because I'm just trying to, not trying to criticize her, I'm just trying to make sure she doesn't hurt herself is all. Yeah, you know, people don't realize that stainless steel pans don't stick if... I'll put that up there for you, because she probably knows this as well as anybody. Stainless steel pans don't really stick if you know how to use stainless steel pans. Basically, let's say you're pan searing a piece of steak or something, you don't take the steak and flip it until that has developed a crust. It'll develop a crust in the pan because the pan is going to have a really high temperature and it's going to be nice and even. And when the surface of that is crusted properly, the pan's going to release it. So if you try to flip it too early, then you don't have a crust formed yet, then it sticks. The only problem is that, you know, myself included, it's very hard sometimes if you're in a hurry or whatever to sit there and wait, or if you keep testing it, trying to check and see if you got that crust yet, because you're not exactly sure how much time your pans need on it or what temperature. Well, then you just kind of delay the process that way too. Okay, you almost got this marinara ready to go here. Just be careful when you're doing this. See, if I wasn't using a sharp knife on this, you wouldn't even be halfway done here. Okay, so there's your garlic. You know, those Ninja pans, those Ninja stainless pans aren't too bad. I mean, they're not the best quality stainless. I mean, they're light. You can tell when you use them, that they're not super expensive pans. But that non-stick surface is pretty good, and they do spread the heat out pretty well. I was a little bit surprised that they work as well as they do. Do they replace really high-end stainless steel pans that are multi-layered? And no, they don't, but they're pretty good. I mean, I'll give them that. Okay, so now we're back to here. Turn it back on there. All right. On. There we go. Okay. Now we can start with our marinara. So we're going to start. I usually start with the heat up pretty high because I want to get this going. So not too high. Really, when you're talking about a stainless steel pan, for me, high is like a 7. You really never want to have maximum heat put on anything because that really is just too much, especially when you're talking about a stainless steel pan. The reason you need high heat is usually because the pan can't retain the heat, so you need a lot of energy coming out of your range in order to maintain it. With a good stainless pan that's got good construction and good layers in it and everything else, and is nice and heavy, which is another reason why cast iron is so good, it will retain that. So you don't need as much energy in there because you don't have to put as much into maintaining that heat there. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and start heating that up. I'm going to go ahead and throw in our olive oil here into this pan. Let's give it a second to heat up. Turn that back off again. Why not use a garlic press? Because I'm very stubborn. The garlic press would have been that would have been a good idea, but I don't know. I just like working with the knives. It's just fun for me. But you're right. It would make things a lot easier. Don't do what I just did and just kind of just dump stuff in the hot oil. That's a good way to burn yourself. The wooden spoon. Probably could have got away with a little larger pot. That's all right though, because this is gonna render down a little bit, so that's okay. Okay, so we're gonna put that in there. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna let this cook a little bit on its own. I'm gonna go ahead and take the salt and put it in there though. Okay. And the pepper. Mix these around. Oops, you didn't see that? Yeah, this is so weird doing something like this not on one of my regular YouTube videos, because those videos are many cuts. Me stopping and starting and screwing up and then deleting the evidence of me screwing up over and over and over again. Or just misspeaking and all that stuff. So being live, it's a little bit weird because I know that I can't take it back. You know what I mean? Okay, so we're gonna let this kind of render down a little bit. We're gonna stir it once in a while, but we don't really need to mess with it just yet. You could put your garlic and shallots in here now if you want to. I don't like to put them in too early. I like this to form a little bit of a sauce first because I don't want to burn the garlic, which can happen if you put it in there too early and there's really nothing for it to mix with. Okay, so now as far as the pasta, okay, just disregard all that crap in the background. Pretend it's not there. For our Barilla pasta, again, we're using this Protein Plus stuff right there. This is plant-based pasta. It's the only plant-based pasta that I've used that I don't think stinks. Figuratively and literally. I tried some of those chickpea ones and I think they're gross. I've tried the whole grain, I guess, is pretty good. So I can go that route too. In fact, I was going to do this with whole grain instead of these ones. And I've used like shirataki pasta, which is Japanese yams. It smells like chemicals. It's terrible. But most of those pastas, to me, you're sacrificing flavor and quite a bit of it, and I don't really like having to sacrifice that. So, okay, I'm going to bring this water up to a good boil. I like to throw a little bit of salt into the water. You don't have to worry too much about making your water salty, but that's gonna help our pasta a little bit. And you gotta keep in mind that we're gonna pour out this water, and a lot of the salt is gonna get poured down the drain anyway. But that will actually help speed up the cooking process. Normally it would make the water boil a little bit faster, but we're not too worried about that. Now the thing with the oil that I was talking about before is you can take a little bit of oil and put it into your water here, and it will help keep your pasta from sticking. I would recommend not doing it unless you kind of need to, or if you're overcrowding stuff, that's going to happen. So let's put a tiny bit in there. In fact, you know, some people think that that's a really bad idea because it does give you a higher risk of having a little bit of soggy pasta. And if you got too much oil in there, it's going to make it so your sauce won't stick to the pasta. It'll just kind of slide right off of it. But we're not going to let that happen. Okay, I'm going to put our pasta into the water. And a lot of people like to put it in there and break it in half. I'd recommend don't break your pasta in half. I'm just going to pour everything in there, and we're going to hope for the best. You know, it's a lot nicer when you go to twirl your spoon and you don't have to, you don't end up running out of pasta. But the key is, while your pasta is still pretty raw and it's got a lot of starch on the surface, that's when you want to be kind of moving this around a little bit. You want to make sure it's not sitting in one position or you got a bunch of pieces stuck together for too long. Because if you do, that's really how you get things sticking. And as you can see, there's no need to chop these pieces in half or anything like that. It's bending really nice. Okay. Now this pasta is going to be done ages before our marinara is. Normally what you would do on something like this is you would pretty much have your marinara almost done before you start this, but for the sake of making the stream not be like an hour-long stream, we're going to do this a little bit quicker. So, you know, we're going to help everything along a little bit. But just remember that if you do this on your own, I would just let your sauce get done and then just simmer it, and it'll just thicken even more for you, and then you can start on this pasta and you're not really worrying about it too much. Okay, as you can see, this right here, boom, that's already starting to break down a little bit. It's starting to soften up, which is quicker than I thought. And as you can see, it's producing all that sauce down there. You can see that? There you go. It's already starting to produce its own tomato sauce, which really, it's really all tomato sauce is. You don't need to buy it. You can just make your own. It's way better. Okay. Now we're going to go ahead and take our shallot and our garlic. Now that we got a little bit of sauce to work with, we can mix those right in. The amount you use of garlic especially is very dependent on you personally, because some people don't have any tolerance for it. I love garlic. In fact, I mean, I put way too much garlic in just about everything. That's just kind of my thing. You'll want to be around me after I've eaten garlic too much, because, yeah, obvious reasons. Okay, I mean, look at this. We just started cooking this. Look how saucy this already is. In fact, when you're talking about a good marinara, you don't need to break it down so much that all of your tomatoes disappear. You want a little bit of chunk left in there. That's good stuff. I mean, this is by no means near done or anything, but you could see how much sauce is produced just, what, 5 minutes we've been cooking this? Our oregano, put that in. It's starting to smell really good now. Okay, don't forget about your pasta, because we want to twist that way. Okay. You don't want to let it sit too long by itself. You want to keep moving it around a little bit. You want to make sure nothing sticks together. The better you do this, the better off everybody's going to be. And once in a while, you're going to check it. I mean, it's not going to be anywhere near done yet, but you can just bite one piece, and you can just tell by the centers. If there's any crunch left in the center, then obviously it's undercooked. But you don't want it to be all soft. Remember, when you take this off of the heat, it's still hot. It's going to keep cooking a little bit. So you're taking it off slightly before it's done, because you know it's going to cook up. It's the same thing as like when you're making a steak. And you want a medium steak, and you're taking it off a little bit past medium rare, and you let it rest for a couple minutes, and then that just kind of congeals and cooks up a little bit for you. Otherwise, you're overcooked. Okay. This is going pretty good, actually. This might be done faster than I thought it would be. I'm going to take a little bit of red pepper here. A little bit of crushed red pepper. Like I said, that is too much right there for the whole thing. So you just take a little pinch here and there, throw it in. If you're not sure how much red pepper to use, if you like spicy stuff. If you don't like spicy stuff, don't put it in there, because it's spicy. But if you do, still use it sparingly, because this amount right here, that would be enough for like a pot this size over there. I mean, it's pretty potent stuff. Okay. Well, I put in the oregano. You want some basil in there? I'll throw some basil in. In fact, we're going to bring that temperature down now that it's getting where we want. Once you get it boiling like that, you want to probably let it simmer like on a pretty low heat. If your range is digital, you'd probably put it down to a 3 or something like that. We're going to crank this thing up a little bit, so we're going to put a little bit of basil in here. I'll put a little bit of parsley in here as well. Why not? Get in there. In fact, we'll do it Italian style. Just going to pour it in. Right. That's about what we want. And I'll grab a little bit of basil here. With basil, I would recommend doing fresh basil. And I would probably do that at the end, because that stuff is great. But let's see, where's my basil? Well, it looks like I am No, not out of basil. Here we go. Okay. A little bit of basil. I'm using dry basil, so you can put that in whenever you want to. Just like any herb though, if you're using fresh herbs, they go in at the end because they got a lot more flavor. You could probably use a lot less of it too. There we go. You know, I might even throw a bay leaf in here too. Why not? Bay leaves are one of those things that you don't notice them in there until they're not in there. You just got to remember that these bay leaves are going to stay like that, so when your sauce is done and you put it away, now be sure to fish those out of there, so you don't end up serving them to somebody, because that's weird. Okay, let's check our pasta again here. Let's see. I get one piece. Okay, slightly al dente. You're not going to be able to tell by looking at this, but slight color right in the center there, but not crunchy. So that's done. I want to get that off the heat. Okay, now 5. Okay, so we're going to take a colander, lay that down, and I'll go ahead and get all that off of there. Don't do that. That's not good. I'm going to go ahead and shake this out. Now, if you got this off of here on time, then you don't have to worry about this overcooking, because we've compensated for that already. But let's say that this was overcooked, or it was cooked just right. Then you're going to want to take a little bit of water and spray it down. You don't want to do this normally if you don't have to, because it's going to wash off too much of the starch. It's not like the best practice to get into, but it cools your pasta down very fast. And as you can see, if you're looking at this, this is all nice. There's nothing sticking together, and it's going to stay this way now. So that's good. So that's good until we are ready to eat. Okay. That sauce is coming along. Get over there. See all these candid shots of my kitchen here. Okay, now the sauce is going to thicken like it is right here. We can do a couple of different things here. You can just go ahead and let it thicken on its own, and that's, you know, if you're letting it simmer for, I don't know, 20-30 minutes, this is just going to keep getting thicker and thicker because you are evaporating all of the water out of your sauce. You can do that, or you can use a little bit of cornstarch to thicken your sauce a little bit. Put it over here, cornstarch. There you go. If you want to thicken your sauce, but you don't put it right into the sauce like that, because if you do, you're going to end up with little clumps. You're going to end up with stuff that looks like dumplings in there, and it's going to be really hard to get them to mix properly. So what you do is you can just do something easy, like take a cup, and we're just going to heat up a little bit of water. You can use some of the sauce, actually. That would work too. And you know what? That's actually what we'll do. Be a better result. You know, I've never really had a preference on the Baileys. I kind of like the California ones, but otherwise they're not really bad. I mean, either way, I'm pretty happy with them. They all taste pretty good to me. Okay, so we take a little bit of the sauce, put it into a cup. Then we're going to take, normally you can do this with a little bit of hot water too, it works really well. Take a little bit of cornstarch, mix that in there. And then we're going to mix this up really good, and we're going to dissolve it completely. Forget that part that's hanging off the edge there, that's gross. But anyway, you can see that it's very easy to make that mix into here, and there's no chunks or anything. And then you take this, you pour that whole thing, after you've mixed it really well, back into your sauce, and then mix that in really well. Now you got no chunks. And this is all just going to combine together, and it's going to thicken the sauce without you having to, normally you end up taking a whisk and you'd be trying to crunch things down, and then you got pieces of tomato that you'd like to leave alone that are getting all messed up and stuff like that. So in fact, you can already see this stuff works very quickly, especially when you're talking about like a hot liquid. It really does thicken that quite a bit. And that's probably about as thick as I really want that to be. Okay. I'm gonna let that simmer just a little bit longer. Okay, back to me. Aha! Yeah, so far so good. Okay, so we'll let that simmer just a little bit longer. That's pretty much done. Let me get this pasta out of the way. Clean that cutting board one last time. I'm just shooting water all over my camera base, which is nice. Yes, exactly like that. The in the pot roast gravy, yep, that works really, really well. It works good for chilies too and stuff like that. It's pretty much anything that's got a sauce base is going to really benefit. Ooh, I'm moving that around. Holy crap. Okay. Okay. Now we're going to just about be ready to plate this thing up. I'm telling you, we're getting along here pretty quick. Yeah, I mean, anytime you've got a sauce that you need to thicken it. I mean, I prefer to thicken a sauce just by cooking it nice and slow, having it on the stove longer for maybe an hour or two. That's, to me, it just tastes better doing it that way. But you can't always reduce it enough to get it to the thickness that you might want it to get to. And instead of adding a bunch of extra stuff, a little bit of cornstarch goes a long way. A little bit of flour will work, like I said before, as well. But as far as what I like to do, I mean, I just like to do it the slow way. Same reason I didn't use the garlic press. I could really, if you got a garlic press, you just put the garlic in the thing and squeeze it, and then the garlic is done. It comes out the little holes on the other side. No reason to really work at it, or you can just go buy minced garlic. In fact, I've got, oh, it's not in there, it's over here. Yeah, see, I've minced garlic. My kitchen's always a mess otherwise. Okay, it's almost done. The only other thing we need is Parmesan. And I don't know where it is. Uh-oh. I know I have it. It's the one thing I didn't take out when I was doing setup for this. Well, we don't really need it to show you what's going on, but if you've got your Parmesan cheese, that's kind of irritating me now. Missing my one. Oh, hello. Hello. Okay, I like to use a Parmesan and Romano combination. I just like it. It's a little different than just the one kind. You really can taste the two different cheeses in there. Yeah, you know, I haven't used masa very much, so I'm not sure about that, but that's not the first time I've heard that. And that's, yeah, I guess that would make sense. Yeah, that would make a lot of sense. Okay, what do we got here? We got everybody in here. Okay, now why don't we try to plate this up? Okay, so what I like to do is we are gonna use this again here. Back to the cell phone camera. All right. See, I'm getting better at it. I'm getting better. It's scary. All right. Oh, there's the pan I was looking for before. Okay. What we're going to do here is make this bigger, or taller, I should say. Hope I don't make you dizzy. Sorry. Okay. We're going to mix our pasta in the bowl. There's two ways you could plate this. You can just take the pasta, put it on a plate, put your sauce on top. But then you end up with inconsistencies, like you'll get a lot of sauce on one side, then you're going to have pasta in there that invariably doesn't get any sauce on it, and that sucks. So I like to mix it, and then plate it, and then put a little more sauce on there, and then your cheese on top. Oh, and by the way, if you didn't know, because I didn't really know this until not too long ago anyway, as I can't find my pasta fork. Well, anyway, you know how you have your pasta spoon? It's got that little hole in the back? That's actually a 2-ounce hole. So if you were to slide the amount of pasta through that hole that's in the back of the spoon, that's supposed to be the size of one portion. You know, a lot of people don't know that. I didn't know it until, I don't know, about 6 months ago. So, nice little bit of trivia for you. Okay, so we're just going to take a little bit of our pasta. I'm just going to put about 1 portion size in here. We'll do 2. There we go. Like that. Okay, now we've got our sauce. We're just going to mix some of that right in here, like so. And we're going to mix that around really good. Get a nice even coating on as much of this as possible. You can tell your sauce is in pretty good shape too. When you're doing that, and you're seeing we don't have a bunch of sauce running down here, it's staying together, so it's not breaking. That means we have reduced it enough. If you end up with watery sauce, it can be for a couple of reasons. Number one, it could be that you didn't drain your pasta for long enough, or you didn't shake it out so it's getting all that water that's still on it, or your pasta sauce isn't reduced enough. And a lot of store-bought pastas will kind of do that. They'll separate a little bit, and it's, I don't know, I don't like that. It's gross. Okay, now I'm going to plate this up. Okay, so there we go. Well, thank you. Yeah, I'm planning on doing them at least once a month. I'm going to try to do these live streams every 2 weeks. You know, since I spent, you know, thousands of dollars on on streaming equipment, I probably should be using it a little bit more than I do. Except that last time it kind of freaked me out a little bit. Remember, with pasta plating, twisting is a good thing. Just gonna put it down, right on top. You're always twisting. Like that. Okay, like so. All right. You know what, we're gonna make that a little bit taller, just because. And I only got about a bite worth left in here now. There we go. All right, like that. And then all we need Hey Chuck, I didn't see your comment in there. The tomato paste? Yes, the tomato paste does the job. In fact, that's a lot of times how I like to do the sauces. The tomato paste is designed to hold everything together, but if you don't, if you take the time to reduce everything properly, then you don't need it. And really all tomato paste is, I mean, for lack of a better explanation, it's just, it's basically super reduced pasta. It's super reduced tomato sauce. So it's reduced and reduced and reduced so much until it just becomes like a paste, which is why it's called tomato paste. Anyway, that is our pasta here. So, there we go. We got a little spaghetti marinara. That took, how long is the stream going? Let's see, about an hour. That took us about an hour from scratch to make this, including preparing all of your ingredients for your marinara sauce and cooking it until it was completely finished to get this. So, I mean, that's not bad. That's not bad at all to me. And that's, I mean, how much time are you really saving by going to the store and you can get some pretty good sauce. Prego and some of these other ones, they're okay. But man, when you make your own, it is so good. Oh, and I just lost. Let's see. Yep, I just lost my main camera because it had overheated. And that's what happened last time. So I think we'll go ahead and call this stream a wrap before more stuff breaks and I get mad. So anyway, I thank you so much for taking a little bit of time to watch our stream. I really appreciate you coming out and you know, tell your friends. Let's get some more people showing up for these things. I can't wait to do another one. We're going to probably try to do it in about 2 weeks or so. But I will keep you posted, and I thank you so much. Have a great day.